Like I mentioned, Cody versus Heyman, a breakdown from the Fire promo earlier this week on Monday Night Raw will happen later. But first, world title plans scrapped as WWE initially planned on, apparently putting together another world championship. I know I mentioned this in previous news videos that the plan, if The Rock was a part of WrestleMania, was to have Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre at the Showcase of the Immortals. But that's not it. That's not all. The other plan was, or included in that plan was, to introduce a new world championship to have those men fight for that title, which I guess that makes sense as to how WWE was going to cover not having the Royal Rumble winner go against Roman Reigns. But the fact of the matter is, this is not a bad thing that WWE chose not to do this, because to me it seemed like it was their cop-out or their way of trying to get away from somebody defeating Roman and Roman dropping the belt. The reality of the situation is, I know that back in the day, every champion, Superstar Billy Graham, Pedro Morales, Bob Backlund, Bruno, Hogan, every champion, every person that held the world title would hold the world title for an extended period of time and would hold the world title for a majority of, if not an entire year. That's a fact. But the fact of the matter is, it is not that time anymore. It is not that time anymore, and I'm not saying that people are incapable of holding a title for a year. I think that that done right and done correctly, people can easily hold the title for a year. Josh Alexander, Alexander Hammerstone, people can easily hold the title for a year if you keep the fans' interest and you keep them thinking that every possible time that this person defends the title could be their last. But Roman Reigns, that ship sailed a long time ago, and I think that the WWE is wearing on the idea of, or crossing over the idea of, people not wanting Roman to be the champion anymore. And you could sit here and say, oh, well, but what about, The Rock versus Roman is a money match, and it's a match we should invest in, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it is. But it doesn't have to be the match that you invest in tomorrow. It could be the match you invest in 3 years, in a year. Because the fact of the matter is, the first thing is first, and the most important thing should be the fact that Roman is world champion, and he needs to defend the title at WrestleMania against somebody on the roster. Not a Hollywood megastar coming back for a one-off match against his cousin to sell tickets. You want to do that, have him drop the title to Sami at Elimination Chamber, and have The Rock come back for the Royal WrestleMania match. All you had to do, or have Kevin win it. You could have had Kevin win it at Royal Rumble, and then do the match. But you didn't do that, so Roman's defending the title at WrestleMania. It's not a bad thing that they chose to not have another world title be put in place, because they don't need it. They don't need another world title. Have Roman drop one of his titles, or both of his titles, because you have it where the Usos defend one title at a time. The Usos are defending the SmackDown Tag Team Champions against Braun Strowman and Ricochet, so why can't Roman defend one of the world titles? Roman is in the same position as the Usos, having the unified world title. The Usos have the unified tag team titles and are in the same position as their cousin. Why is it any different? You want to have the Usos keep one of the titles because it prompts the idea that they could lose? What about Roman? What about doing the same thing with Roman? What about that? I don't understand. I don't understand that logic. But move that out of the way. WWE is also concerned over the popularity of Sami Zayn, where there is partial of maybe WWE worrying about the idea that Sami's popularity could make fans turn on Cody and turn on the main event of WrestleMania. Honestly, I don't see that happening, only because of the fact that I don't see this being the same situation as it was when Bryan Danielson had this happen. This was going on with Daniel Bryan back in 2014. I don't see it being the same situation because it's not. Because back then, WWE refused to give the fans what they wanted. This time, WWE is not only giving them what they wanted, but giving them what they wanted in a big scale because Sammy gets to go for the belt in his hometown. I don't see the logic of being concerned about somebody being excessively popular, because then Sammy's popularity, if he's put in the position where him and Kevin are going against the Usos for the tag belts at WrestleMania, that in turn elevates the tag titles because of somebody like Sammy going for the tag belts. But that's just my opinion. Shifting gears and rapid fire now, New Japan and Impact have putting together a joint show set for March 30th, with, as it is referred to as, Only the Strong Survive, Multiverse United Only the Strong Survive on March 30th to air on Fight.tv. Matches include Will Ospreay versus Mike Bailey, Josh Alexander and Kushida, and Jeff Cobb versus Moose, which is, in my opinion, Bailey versus Ospreay and Josh Alexander versus Kushida are just enough in themselves. And then the Hoss fight that we could expect to see between Jeff Cobb and Moose adds to it in that regard. Also, MLW announced earlier this week that Bet Online is the official sponsor for MLW, or another sponsor for MLW, and also Court Bauer issued a letter to fans of MLW thanking them for their support as they embark on the next journey, with yesterday being the launch of MLW Underground on Reels. As Court Bauer said in the letter, that it's been 5 years of hard work and dedication, and all they needed was the platform, and he basically said that Reels is that platform and their opportunity to show what everybody knew, that MLW is wrestling's best kept secret, and that isn't the case anymore because they are on Reels every Tuesday night for 2 hours, starting at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. And like I said, last night was their first time on Reels. But as we wrap up this episode of the news, or edition of the news, we just got one more rapid fire, and that is an update on NWA Nuff Said, with Matt Cardona versus Tyrus for the NWA World Championship, and the stipulation that was determined as a result of the 6-man tag team match on NWA Power this past week. Tyrus defeated Cardona and announced that the match will not feature any seconds or outside interference between Tyrus and Cardona, which means everyone is barred from ringside, and it will just be a one-on-one matchup, mano a mano, Tyrus, Cardona, with Bully Ray on commentary for the NWA World Championship. It is worth noting that Camilla will defend her NWA World Women's title against Angelina Love in an ODQ match. Cyan will defend his national title against Homicide. Kerry Morton against Alex Taylor for the junior title. La Rebellion against Blunt Force Trauma with Aaron Stevens for the NWA Tag Team titles. And a match a match that I'm surprised by is EC3 versus Kevin Kiley. If you don't remember Kevin Kiley, he is the former Alex Riley. So it is good to see both those guys competing for the NWA. It is an action-packed event set to take place on February the 11th. NWA Nuff Said, live from the Egyptian Shrine Center in Tampa, Florida. We will be doing a preview later this week for that event that takes place again on February 11th in Tampa, Florida, live on Fight. Before we go, I just want to say that if you have not seen, I will keep this short. If you have not seen the Heyman and Cody promo from Raw, you are missing out because it is one of the best promos in WWE in recent memory, and it shifts the attention from Sami Zayn and the focus from Sami Zayn and Jey Uso back to Cody Rhodes. And if WWE can keep doing that, then they will not have to worry about Sami diluting Cody and taking the attention away from Cody, because segments like that will keep Cody at the forefront of everybody's mind and show why Cody is the deserving member, a deserving person to challenge Roman at WrestleMania, and why Sami filed back to Elimination Chamber. But either way, if you missed one of the best promos in WWE in recent memory on Monday night, and I could say that because I sat there and watched it more than once with Heyman and Cody. So if you missed it, fire up the YouTubes and go look it up, because it's worth watching again. With that being said, though, this has been the news, and I will see you in the next video.